Hey guys, how's it going? Today I wanted to talk about the importance of public transportation. So, as I've mentioned many times before, I live in Los Angeles. And everybody knows, or at least people who watch movies and stuff like that, know that basically Los Angeles is basically mostly a car king world. As you can tell, there's a lot of cars, there's a lot of street vendors, there's a lot of stuff just here to sell cars. And that's due to the fact that at some point in the history of California, they decided that they wanted to take away most of the public transportation, so they destroyed all the metros, all the trams at the time. And there used to be like a pretty big network quite a while ago, early 20th century. There was a pretty big network that was made out of trams and stuff like that. And sometimes you can kind of see the rails again and see the remnants of what used to be. But it apparently was a pretty good system at the time. But General Motors, I guess, somehow convinced the government of California and LA, the city of LA, to go and promote cars. So people started having to get cars because the fact was that it was just not possible to go with public transportation. And now I'm faced with the fact at this moment, because the transmission of my car is kind of shot, I've had to resort to public transportation in the city, which has a very shitty public transportation system. And on top of that, you gotta know that LA is a pretty vast place. So being in LA, you're traveling pretty big distances, and even when the distances are not that big, like for example yesterday I just had to travel about 5 miles. That's about like 8-9 kilometers, and it took me 2 hours. I could have practically, literally, I checked on my GPS and I could have walked that whole distance in less than 2 hours, and yet it took me with the bus 2 hours, and most of it was just me waiting in the rain, and because on top of that, when the rain comes, you have even less public transportation, because for some reason they decide that there's going to be, I guess, less people, or maybe the bus drivers don't know how to drive in rain that well, and they tend to not come. So basically you're stuck here with no public transportation. And then you read about places like Luxembourg, which has decided that public transportation is going to be completely free within the city. And I think that's a great initiative, because now again you're seeing all these car shops and these car places, and the thing that's crazy is that you're forced to buy this huge vehicle that's super expensive, and on top of that they put all these taxes on it, and you have to pay gas, and it's cool and all, but I would think that it would be nicer if people had a choice. If they wanted to have a car, they can, but then at the same time you're not getting pushed with the fact that you have to change cars all the time. For example, in Belgium, where I'm from originally, they have these very strict CO2 laws about pollution, and in Belgium it's like no car over 20 years old can drive. So even if your car is doing fine, you still have to retire it or pay heavy fines, because the city decided that your car can't run anymore, even if it passes a smog check. which is kind of bullshit, because what if your car is in great condition and you're not using it that much, and you're not wanting to change car, but you're forced to? You have no choice. Here, at least in America, you can kind of keep your car as long as you want, but the thing is, obviously there's a smog check, and at some point maybe your car will not pass, but that's a different story. At least you're given a choice, and I think that that's better to say that, hey, as long as you're willing to prepare your car, you're allowed to have it for as long as you want. Now, secondly, the thing is here, there's the metro's not too bad. I'll be honest about that. That's actually like, you get your metro every, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 minutes. It's still LA, so it's not going to be every 5 minutes or every 3 minutes like in Japan and stuff like that, and they're not going to be punctual. But at least you have that, and it's not too bad when you're 100% within the touristy part of the city, I'll say, or in downtown LA, which is downtown LA. But if you're trying to navigate anywhere, like for example, I'm in Glendale, and again, there's like 3 buses. There's only one bus that goes to my place from Hollywood, so it's kind of like, well, if you want to grab it, well, you gotta wait, and sometimes it's 30 minutes wait, sometimes it's an hour between buses, and guess what? Sometimes also the 30-minute bus will decide not to come. It'll just be like, whoa, I'm not here, and you're gonna end up waiting even longer, and you just have to wait for the next one. So it's always a surprise. Hard to like organize yourself with just public transportation here. It's really tough, and it's making it in such a way that people sometimes have to get themselves in debt in order to keep having a car, because otherwise it doesn't work, and they're not able to basically make money or anything, because again, you got to think that, how can I say, here, especially in LA, people are working at all different times of the day, and the thing is that if for example you have a job that's at night, or it's even like on the other side, you can work, but at the same time you're just wasting so much time being on public transportation, 3 hours a day, 4 hours a day, going from one place to the other, that I don't know, sometimes you're thinking about the hours I could have just worked or something, and then I could have worked some extra hours and afforded that car that would let me actually make more money, if that makes sense. But yeah, as you can tell, I'm kind of like a little bit frustrated, because you go to places like Belgium, or most places in Europe and other countries such as Japan and stuff like that, and basically everything is great. Even in New York, it's great. You're able to take public transportation everywhere. There's the metro system that takes you everywhere, and it's awesome. And I think they need to do that in LA. Unfortunately, the thing is that they don't really have that here, So it's kind of tricky, because you want to be able to move and to go to different places and all that stuff, but you're not able to, except if you have a car. But then cars are expensive, and everybody's leasing their cars here, so I don't know how they're affording it, because basically every 3 years they're spending, I don't know, with insurance and all that, it's at least like $12,000 or something, and that's a car every 3 years. They could have easily bought a car every time, but they decide to lease stuff, and then in like 10 years you could have had a very expensive, nice car that could have lasted you for a while, but they leased it and they don't have anything, and then they have to keep on renting cars, leasing them basically. It's complicated. But anyways, that's what I felt about cars in general. It's kind of confusing, but I got to get my car fixed so that I don't have to use this public transportation, because it's too difficult here. Anyways, have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye.